Hello all, it's the Wandering Hermit here, just sitting outside after a long day at work, enjoying the sun while it lasts. It's about 7 o'clock in the evening here. I got my little man over there doing crazy stuff in the garden. It's been a strange few months, I think, for everyone. You can go outside and see people, all of a sudden you can't, and now you can again. It's constant backwards and forwards, this to and froing, this uncertainty kind of gets me thinking. Like, what do we actually really ever know for certain? But that's not going to be the focus of my little video today. The focus of my video today is going to be on come away. Come on. Come away. Good boy. Playing with garden equipment that he shouldn't play with. Yeah, my video today is going to be about shamanism in the modern world and shamanic practice in the modern world. I want to do more videos on shamanism because it kind of forms the root of my practice. Culturally, you could say, I'm rooted in Norse culture, but the way I practice is very shamanistic. Now, that's a very loaded word, isn't it? Shaman, shamanic, shamanistic, anything to do with shaman. It's a very loaded term. And some people out there won't know why it's a loaded term, but I'll tell you. We live in the age of recognition of cultural authenticity. And that sort of group mentality that we have now of recognizing what is culturally appropriate and culturally authentic to any given group of people means that we're highlighting where cultures are being appropriated or misappropriated. And the use of the word shaman or shaman is one such instance. Shaman or shaman is a Manchu Tungus word meaning one who sees or one who knows. And the whole idea of shamanism, it should be specific to that particular culture. They have their own set of practices. In fact, you could say that there are two groups of shamans. There are those who work with the earth and those who work with the sky. But again, that's not really something that's addressed by people in the West who call themselves shamans or shamanic practitioners. But at the same time, use of the word shaman, it's easy for us in the West to use because it's a word that was adopted in the late 18, early 1900s by anthropologists to describe anything that is pre-Christian, indigenous kind of tribal culture. So it's now used as a general umbrella term, a bit like the word pagan. Although, for some people, even the word pagan is a misuse of the word. So it's entirely up to the individual whether you want to refer to yourself as a shamanic practitioner. Unless you are authentically following the Manchu Tungus shamanic tradition, no one should ever really call themselves a shaman. But magical practices or spiritual practices that vaguely resemble elements of shamanism could be regarded as shamanic or shamanistic. Therefore, it's not inappropriate to use it, or I wouldn't regard it as cultural appropriation on those grounds. So hopefully that's cleared one little thing up for you regarding shamanism. Now, shamanic practice, for those of you who don't know, is the oldest spiritual tradition known to mankind. In fact, predates anatomically modern humans. There's archaeological evidence to suggest that Neanderthal man was practicing in this way long before we started to develop our own sense of spirituality. And there's no knowing how far back that goes. It could go back to the beginnings of the Neanderthal race, which goes back way further than those of Homo sapiens sapiens. So it's not unrealistic or unreasonable to believe that shamanism is hundreds of thousands of years old. Although current evidence suggests it's only about 55 to 60,000 years old, but hey ho. Well, fundamental principles of shamanic practice, really you just got to look at all the indigenous cultures around the world and look at what unites them. Oh, thank you. He's brought me a seed. Quite why you want me to eat said seed is not funny. Whatever. Yeah, you look at what unites these cultures, what they all have in common. And out of the hundreds or even thousands of different tribal cultures around the world and throughout history, of which we know very little, by the way, you'll find that a majority, not all, but a majority of them share what is now called an animistic approach to spirituality. You okay? Hi. You can say hi. There's no one on the phone. It's just me shooting a video. Now, animism, in a nutshell, is the belief that absolutely everything in the universe, from people to animals, plants, the grass, the rocks, the soil, the sky, the rivers, the seas, everything, absolutely everything in the world has a spirit and is alive and has a life force and a consciousness that can be tapped into and worked with and communicated with. And that you'll find in a majority of indigenous cultures around the world. This belief that the earth itself is a living, breathing organism. I subscribe to this myself. I believe that absolutely every single thing on this planet doesn't just have life within it, it has soul, it has consciousness. To varying degrees, everything communicates in ways that are difficult for the ordinary people to understand. But I believe that if we actually stop and just listen, we can learn to understand and communicate with these things. And some scientists are starting to stop and listen and try to understand. What we've learned about trees and other types of plants and how they communicate. Recent discoveries are absolutely mind-blowing, and they really back up the animistic idea. But anyway, other than animism, you'll find a lot of cultures orient themselves to the path of the sun and the moon. And sometimes, again, not always, but sometimes they personify these cosmic entities, these celestial bodies. So then, we're coming into, thank you very much, the realm of like Wicca and things like that, with the idea of the god and goddess. But in some shamanistic cultures, you'll find a similar idea. But the overarching thing is that spirits exist all around us all the time. And rather than having to be, summoned with, magic spells and things or whatever, they're just there, waiting for us to broaden our perception, to perceive them and open our hearts and minds to communicate with them. There are many ways to do that. but you know, I'll go into that in future videos. But yeah, today I just wanted to talk a little bit about shamanism or shamanic practice anyway. So I won't make it too long, and I'm 10 minutes in already. So the idea of opening the awareness of the shaman or shamanic practitioner, it's all to do with raising the vibration of the brain, the brain waves. In modern psychology, we have this idea of like 4 different stages of brainwave activity. One that governs sleep, like deep sleep and dreaming, one that governs light sleep, one that governs relaxation, and one that governs full wakefulness and problem solving. The inverse order: alpha, beta, gamma and delta states. You'll find that sort of thought process is prevalent in shamanic practice as well. This idea of bringing the brainwaves down through various practices. It'll be through meditation or through rhythmic drumming or chanting. It's a means of relaxing the body whilst keeping the mind active, so that you pass into this sort of liminal space in the mind, through which you can then perceive the spirit realms, which exist here, by the way. Some shamanic traditions, some of the more well-known ones, have this idea of the 3-world system. We humans exist on the middle world, but then you've got the lower world and the upper world, hosting the animal spirits and celestial beings respectively. And it's this idea of either quietening the mind and going within to perceive these dimensions, or the other way is like through ecstatic trance, through hyperventilation, dance, and sometimes ingesting hallucinogenic substances. It differs from one tribe to the next. Sometimes they'll use multiple different methods of opening the sight, you could say. But the whole idea is that the shamanic practitioner lives in 2 worlds at once. We go through the physical world, the middle world, but we're always aware of the lower and upper worlds as well, and what's going on there, and the spirits that want to communicate from those realms. So I'm going to leave it there for now. I'll do another video at some point in the very near future, since I've not that much to do with my time of late, other than looking after my family and work. But when the weather's fine, I think it's good to get out and ruminate a little bit. So yeah, I'll do another video on more elements of shamanic practice and different subdivisions of shamanism and what they entail. So for now, I just want to thank you for watching. If you like the video, if you've got something out of this, then hit the like button, all that palaver. And until next time, I'll see you later.